Right, we do now get the green flag from the back. 1 minute board goes up. I suspect that these will be quite short minutes. So 30-second board goes up, 5 second is on. Lights go out and away we go then, and it's a pretty good start between both of the front row drivers, but it's the number 44 car of Louis Wall that's made the best of the starts, and Mark Burton, number 1, has failed to get away. But as they head down towards Oulton corner for the first time, Mark Burton I can see pulling off onto the left-hand side. That's David Mason going wide over the left-hand side of the circuit. There's one off on the right-hand side of the track as well. One
Gary
spins.
Brandon.
That's Gary Brandon, number 74, and he just noses into the barrier. So one or two cars having a moment as they go down the avenue, but it's the number 44 car that leads the way. That is Louis Wall then from Murray Shepherd in second place as they head along the Lakeside Straight for the first time.
Unfortunately, that was sort of a typical Old Hall incident, wasn't it, with a few cars running off wide, and I think there might be cars off there too. But Murray Shepherd, I think he grabbed the lead, did he, into Island Bend? He has, and big slipstream in opportunities, of course, through this section of the circuit. So it's Shepherd that leads. They go through the Shell Oils hairpin up towards the Britain chicane. Louis Wall into second, I think. So Cole Rousenard has lost a couple off the start.
Well, the change there is that Murray Shepherd's got into the lead because it was Louis Wall that was leading then. So Murray Shepherd has taken the lead there. Tom Galley said it's Rousenard that's dropped back to, what's that, 5th place, 6th place?
Yeah, 5th behind her there. He's sideways. Martin West in front, but we're going to get a safety car intervention at the end of this lap when we get to the line because of the incidents at Old Hall. But they can race until they see a yellow flag, which I haven't seen as of yet. But there's car number 2. That's Murray Shepherd ahead of Louis. We'll see the safety car on the circuit. There's a couple of cars off just past Old Hall there, but now the arms are coming out of the cockpit of these low-cost cars as they have reached those yellow flags here.
So certainly we've got Mark Burton's car, which is off just before Old Hall corner. So I think that was just the number 1 car that failed to get off the line. I think that was all on his own. But then there were 2 or 3 cars that spun. I can see we've got the 750 Motor Club rescue vehicle on the scene on the avenue, and possibly they're just attending to a driver. And we can see the safety car just as well, waiting around the Old Hall corner, waiting for the pack to come through. The pack currently is headed by Murray Shepherd, and it is on its way up towards Lodge Corner. And Murray Shepherd's sort of controlling the pace of the pack here. He's going quite slowly already, isn't he? So a little bit of a wait before he gets to the safety car at the rate he's going.
Yeah, let's hope that's going to give good opportunity for our hard-working marshals, though, to do what they need to do down there at the avenue without losing too many laps of this race. So the cars will come across the line, led by Murray Shepherd, as Ian said. Good start, though, by Louis Wall. So he, as you said, really moved through, but that slipstream effect allowed Shepherd back ahead. And of course, the big loser was our pole sitter, Cole Rousenard, that has dropped to 5th place, behind also Tom Gadd and Martin West. And we've got Greg Smith there in 6th, ahead of David Mason and Jeff Peake. In 9th is Andrew Tate, going well, ahead of Craig Land. In 11th is Matt Groh, 12th is Jonathan Higgins, 13th Tim Penstone Smith, 14th is David Johns, 15th is Paul Clark, in 16th is Glenn Boyer, and the rest of the field coming through quite slowly, aren't they? In 17th position will eventually click through. That's Dave Berry ahead of Rob Apsey. Danny Andrew is there in 19th, returning to Locost, and Alexander Artist concludes the top 20.
And the red flags now coming out. I think the incident is going to take too long to get cleared.
I think that's Sean Brame that's off on the right-hand side of the circuit, which you can see on your screens by that red flag that is being shown. But I think that's a sensible decision, Ian, because otherwise we would have had a lot of this race lost. As it's such a short race, a long laps behind the safety car isn't what anybody wants. So that gives time. And there's another car across the circuit, I think.
Yeah, well, it was the Gary Brandon car off to the left, wasn't it? That we saw, and that did connect with the barriers.
I think that we couldn't quite see there, Ian, there's a car on the circuit as well, just behind the rescue vehicle.
Yeah.
And there's a car on the right-hand side too.
That looks like the car of Dean Hale, I think, number 60 possibly. So there's 4 cars that didn't come through at the end of lap 1. Mark Burton we know about, Sean Brame, Daniel Garrett and Dean Hale, which suggests, yes, that Gary Brandon did actually make it round at the end of the first lap. We now have the MSV medical car that's heading out onto the circuit as well. So it's going to be a bit of a hiatus, I think, before we are able to get this Demon Tweeks Yokohama low-cost race back underway. So definitely the right decision to red flag it while the incident is dealt with. You can see on your screens that already the breakdown trucks are on their way to the scene to pick up some of those broken cars. So here at Oulton Park for round 13 of the championship. Locost have only raced here at Oulton Park once in recent years. That was 2 years ago. And Louis Wall is the only driver that won a race that day. We had 3 races that day that's competing here this weekend. Ben Powney and Ian Alley were the other drivers to take a win on that day back in 2017. And certainly it was a very good start to the race by Louis Wall. He came through from the second row of the grid, taking advantage of not such a good start from Murray Shepherd. And Carl Roycenar certainly dropping back a little bit at the beginning of that race.
Louis Wall, that was his first race, as you said earlier, after competing in supercars. So sort of a different style of racing, a very different type of car or type of vehicle to drive, and a very different speed level to get used to. But Louis Wall's one of the drivers in championship contention this year, isn't he, Ian, after that win he had just last month at Brands Hatch?
That's right. I mean, at Brands Hatch, just looking at that, the wins there, Louis Wall, Ben Powney, 2 of the winners from Oulton Park a couple of years ago, and Murray Shepherd in the car that won here 2 years ago, and it was in the hands of Ian Alley. So
good to see Keith Malpas out in that repaired car, isn't it? I saw that looking pretty good in the paddock earlier, because his wife, Jeanette, had quite a sizable accident at Cadwell Park a couple of months ago.
That's right, yes. So good to see that that's been brought back out for this weekend.
See, he made it through that first lap incident, but as I was saying at the time, it's such a typical Oulton Park thing, isn't it? Cars run out wide through what is a pretty tight first corner on a packed grid, and then they just sort of lose traction on the grass, don't they? And then they end up coming back across the circuit, which is occupied by many other cars, and it's so hard to avoid contact. And there's not far you go to the inside until you get to Armco barrier. It happens so often at Oulton Park. It's a shame, though, in any way to start a race like that.
It definitely is. Oulton is one of the more, I guess, unforgiving circuits on the calendar, but it's also a circuit that the drivers very much like.
That's what I was going to say. It's half the reason they like coming here,
It's a great driver's track.
Much like Cadwell Park.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Locost, of course, celebrated its 20th anniversary at Cadwell Park back in July earlier this year. The championship instigated back at Mallory Park, actually, in 1999, with half a dozen cars on the grid. Simon Pollan, who went on to race in British GTs, amongst other things, winning the first ever low-cost race. And the concept was built around the book Build Your Own Sports Car for as little as £250 by Ron Champion. He was a guest of honour for that event at Cadwell Park. And that was, formed the basis of a championship. It was a 7-style, sort of Caterham-looking chassis with, at that point, didn't have the full roll cage, just had a rollover hoop, but the design of these cars has evolved over the years, and they now look really very well put together, very professionally put together machines, all of them really on the grid. And probably goes without saying that the cost of putting it together is now a bit more than £250. You're looking at a few £1,000s to buy a pre-made car these days, but still it is one of, if not the most affordable ways of going racing.
And one of the most successful series in the country, hasn't it been, for a number of years now?
Yeah.
With places like Brands Hatch and Cadwell Park this year, the 750 Motor Club needed to bring in the group system, which means everybody races twice over 3 races because you can't fit everybody on the grid. And was it Locost even that first sort of brought that group system in, 5-6 years ago?
Yes.
Because of the size of the grids. Before that, sort of had 2 heats and a championship race afterwards.
Yeah.
But that sort of isn't so regular anymore.
No, it's the way that has evolved really to have this group system. It means that everyone has the same number of championship races, all being well. So we have this slight hiatus, but you can see there the very hard work that's been going on, not only by the volunteer marshals, but also by the recovery crews who are in the process of taking those cars away. You can see the 750 Motor Club rescue vehicle. You can see a fire truck on track. There'll be one of the clerks of the course, I'm sure, will be down there as well, just making sure that all of the incident is satisfactorily dealt with. And there's a lot of work for our start line marshals to do to get the cars all back into the right order, because we'd only had one lap when the red flags came out. So we'll go back to the original grid, so that at least saves a little bit of time in that we don't need to get a new grid issued.
And it'll please Cole Roussillard, I should think, who was running 5th under the safety car.
Yes, no doubt it will. He's got a second chance to make a better start from pole position.
What we should note this time, Ian, is there won't be a further green flag lap, will there?
No, absolutely right.
So for perhaps people that come in, that's new to 750 Motor Club racing, don't always have a safety green flag lap. Generally, for cars that don't have slick tyres, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, these cars, they do run on treaded tyres, so no green flag lap is required for them. They go straight into racing.
I suspect it won't be too much further, because I think too much longer, because we've got, I think, all the recovery down there. I think the 750 Motor Club ambulance was more there to help out with further marshal power rather than any further drama, I think.
And I think that's always the case, that any time there's an incident like that, they will scramble to the scene to do whatever it is that is required at that particular point in time. I think the good news out of all of that, from the point of view of the length of the delay is concerned, no barrier damage as far as we could see, which is sometimes a time-consuming issue, but it doesn't look like it will be on this occasion. There's Mark Burton. He is being taken back to the paddock on the back of a tow rope. He qualified 8th for this race, lying 4th in the championship coming into this weekend.
He's had a bit of a weird season, hasn't he? Because he was so dominant last year in his first full season of circuit racing, when he won sort of half the races. But this year he hasn't won any races. He's only been on the podium 5 times. Like you say, still in championship hunt, but more due to consistency rather than outright pace, which has been unusual. And I think it's been a bit of a frustration to him. Usually in your second season of racing, you'd probably be pretty happy with how his season has gone, because last year was so good, it sort of puts it means you expect more, doesn't it?
It certainly does. But Locost gets ever more competitive. As just out of our commentary box window, we can see the 19 car of Daniel Garrett coming in to the paddock. It's got quite heavy damage to both front corners, so whether we'll see that one out again later today or not, I'm not quite sure. The Locost have 2 races today. Second race due to happen at around about 10 to 4. So we'll see if that car is able to get back out, but it would need a bit of work in order to do so. So we've got the cars gradually filling up their grid positions.
Gridding them up again.
So we will have, I would think, a slightly reduced race distance once the race gets back underway. We've not been given any notification of what that race distance will be. Locost, as I say, concluding their season at Snetterton after this meeting. That's on the 12th and 13th of October, which will be the championship finals weekend for for many of the championships. Some will also have their championship finals the weekend before, and some will conclude their championships at Silverstone at the end of October, the day after the traditional 750 Motor Club curtain closing event, which is the Burkitt 6-hour relay race.
Mark Burton's joined the queue, but only behind the Land Rover recovery vehicle, so I expect that'll be for the pit lane. Like you say, he'll be one of the number of people trying to get that car repaired ahead of the race later on today. So hopefully that can be done, because Mark Burton, the grid for the second race set by second fastest lap time, so he doesn't have to worry about the result from this one. Actually qualified 4th for the race later, so he'll be keen to get out for that.
View over the Oulton Park Lake, familiar feature of this parkland circuit, one of the most beautiful of all of the circuits in the UK, of course.
We were saying how different Oulton Park is to Snetterton. Snetterton doesn't look like that.
No, if you've never been to Snetterton or never seen Snetterton, we do have our live stream from there from one of the days of racing at Snetterton. It's somewhat less picturesque, but it's a very good facility in many respects, but it doesn't have beauty particularly on its side. But Oulton Park certainly does. I can see out of the window we've got cars more or less formed back up on the grid now, so I don't think we're going to be too far away from getting the race restarted. We'll keep an eye on the marshals.
We saw that Mark Burton car to come back into the pits, haven't we? And that's perhaps happening shortly. We see the fire truck also making its way towards its position. So like you say, it shouldn't be too much longer. I don't think we've got a word on the restart time, but I guess it'll be something like 10 minutes or so. So what, maybe 5-6 laps of racing that we should get to follow this period.
Yeah, it being quite a long lap, the pole position lap time was a sort of 2-minute 4.81, so it means that the number of laps of racing we get relatively few and far between.
That was almost a couple of seconds under the lap record, which was done by Alex von Erheim, which would have been 10 or so years ago.
I'm just trying to look back to see exactly when that was set. Just to get my pieces of paper sorted, and I'll be able to see exactly what year that was set. It was set in 2009, so exactly 10 years ago. Just looking at the lap records for the other Oulton Park layouts for Locost, they go back to 2001 in the case of the Island Circuit, which we've not raced on for quite some time.
When we've been here the last few years, it's generally been in April when it's probably been raining, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, and certainly 2 years ago when Louis Wall won that race, that was a very wet race, so conditions not conducive to setting lap records on that occasion.
Of course, back when Alex von Erheim's lap record was done, we had lights on the cars, so a bit more slippery through the air nowadays, and that's probably where that couple or so seconds has come from.
I can see the course car in the background of the view from our commentary box window, just heading back towards the pit lane as well. So I think once that is in place, we will be close to going back racing again for a reduced race distance. There is the aforementioned course car. Just heading back in. So, shortened race for the Tweeks Yokohama Low-Cost Championship shortly to get underway. A reminder on pole position, it's the number 84 car, that's the black and yellow car on the left-hand side of your picture, Carl Roysenars. Then the mostly white car with the green roll cage and green wheel arches next to it, that is the car of number 2, Murray Shepherd, who's been, as we were saying, the form man in the second part of the season. There he is. And then black and green for Tom Gadd on the inside of the second row, car number 12. He's done more winning than anybody else this season. And then the black car with the orange roll cage is number 44, Louis Wall, the driver from Cirencester, as the 1 minute board now goes up. And he is the man that made such a good start first time around. So the 1 minute board has gone up. 30-second board has now gone up. These are very quick 750 most club minutes here at Oulton Park, and we will now see the 5-second board. So very shortly we'll get the red lights on, and you can see those in the top left-hand corner of your screen. They go out now, and away we go. And it's a good start this time by Murray Shepherd. Certainly a better start, but a good start too again by Louis Wall. He has the lead, but on the inside line it's going to be the number 2 car of Murray Shepherd that squeezes through on the inside. Having said that, Wall now in the orange roll cage car has got the advantage. It looks like Tom Gadd trying to go through to second place as well as they drop down towards Cascades, Josh, for the first time.
Yeah, Louis Wall able to use that momentum on the outside, and Tom Gadd's going to follow him through into Cascades. So Murray Shepherd, who was leading briefly, has dropped to 30, might lose another one because, again, slower on the exit of the corners. That brings Cole Roysenars back into the situation, but Tom Gadd's going to challenge for the lead, I reckon, into Island Bend, and he's up the inside. So Tom Gadd should grab the lead here, I think, ahead of Louis Wall into the Shell Oils hairpin, but has the inside line still there for Louis Wall? He has, but the outside line is good enough for Tom Gadd.
Yeah, so he's got the lead at the moment ahead of Louis Wall. Murray Shepherd in third place. So again, not a great start for the pole position driver, Carl Roysenars. He's there in 4th spot this time. Martin West is 5th, and the 43 car, the bright green car of David Mason, in 6th position as they go through Britain's, climbing up towards Hilltop now for the first time. It looks like it's going to be an 8, possibly a 9 minute plus 1 lap race. This, we've got 7.5 minutes counting down on our screens, but we'll just get clarification of that. So it's Gadd and Wall 1 and 2 as they head into Hislops for the first time. Then still Murray Shepherd there in 3rd place, the driver that started on the front row ahead of the pole position man, number 84. That's Carl Roysenars, climbing now out of Knickerbrook up Clay Hill, and they're pretty much in single file as they head up towards Druids.
Yes, it's the 2 second row men ahead of the 2 front row men, isn't it, on the first lap of the race as the cars flow up towards Druids. This is Murray Shepherd trying to fight back now on the inside of Louis Wall. Couldn't make that work, and that's allowing Tom Gadd just to break away a bit. Somebody runs a bit wide. That Greg Smith possibly saves it though, so he carries on his way underneath the Warwick Bridge and up towards Lodge, where Tom Gadd leads a pack of about 6 cars for the lead.
Yeah, maybe even 7 possibly, as they turn their way through Lodge, climbing up over Deerleap now to complete lap number 1 of the race. But it's Murray Shepherd here trying to make a move up the inside of both of them. They go 3 wide. It's Wall with his nose in front, but Shepherd trying to get down the inside there. They're absolutely wheel to wheel as they go through Oulton corner, but it's Wall that just about holds on. Rusinars has got up to 3rd place there. We've had a spinner towards the back, try and pick up who that is when they come through in a moment. But look at this, there's about 7 or 8 cars disputing the lead of the race. It's Wall from Shepherd, Rusinars and Martin West moving up to 4th place. The one that's really lost out in the last few corners has been Tom Gadd.
Kind of wonder if he's thinking championship and didn't want to get involved in any silliness there at Oulton as he was on the outside of a 3 wide moment. It's still side by side for the lead. It's Murray Shepherd on the inside. On the outside is Louis Wall. We've got Rusinard behind. Louis Wall's out wide there over the dusty part of the circuit, but he's been able to carry the momentum through, and he continues to lead there into the Shallows hairpin up the inside to get the lead. But yes, as that 3 wide moment happened in, it's brought a lot of extra cars into this lead pack, hasn't it? Up towards the British chicane they come. Nothing can separate any of them.
No, not at all. So it's Murray Shepherd chasing after Louis Wall for the moment. Martin West there, who is in the championship battle still. He's there in 4th place, but it's Tom Gadd, championship leader, in 5th, as they swarm down towards Hislops once again. Again, no one really offering a move there, as you thought they might do. Out of the second part of Hislops, and then through the right-hander at Knickerbrook they go, climbing up Clay Hill, where the circuit does narrow quite dramatically at that point there, and then they'll head under the pedestrian bridge and then up towards the right-hander at Druids. In the woodland section there's a move here that can be made if you're brave. Lou Wall was thinking about it there, and you've still got Rusinars there in 3rd, and now Martin West in 4th place. Looks like he's going to attack for 3rd place down towards Lodge.
So to the outside for Wall. Well, Rusinard, which side does he follow? He's following Wall at the moment, at the inside line for Murray Shepherd. So Shepherd leads out of the corner, and again across the line it's going to be 4 wide this time, so this will be pretty exciting up towards Oulton. And of course a race to the line on the last lap. This is absolutely what it could look like. Into Oulton they go, then it's the inside for Murray Shepherd, who hangs on and contact. Martin West makes contact with Cole Rusinard, who amazingly saves it and stays on the road, but he lets Martin West know what he thinks of that.
And getting a bit robust for 5th place between David Mason and Tom Gadd as well. And as we were saying, Tom Gadd probably should have a championship hat on here, or head on here, and we're trying to keep out of trouble. But he's alongside Martin West now, and he's back through. West majorly out of shape. They're all over the grass. Has gone Martin West, will lose several places because of that, as he does rejoin now down the Lakeside Straight.
But right at the back of that group, so that's something like 8th place. Somebody else has had an off the Oulton. There's yellows there. We'll have to pick up on that in a moment. We're watching this battle for the lead. There is some debris in the middle of the road, maybe from that contact actually. So that's what the yellow flags are for, I reckon. Out of the Shallows hairpin we go. Then it's Louis Wall ahead of Murray Shepherd now. In 3rd is Tom Gadd, so he's actually worked back through the field on this lap in towards the British chicane. There's number 44 then, Louis Wall, who is 3rd in the championship, or 2nd when drop scores are adjusted or accounted for. So Louis Wall is one for Tom Gadd to think about, and perhaps that's why Tom Gadd is fighting his way back through the pack. He's back onto terms with Murray Shepherd, but also he has Cole Rusinard right on his tail as they turn their way then through the Hislop chicane, through Knickerbrook, and then the long climb up the hill. So you need to carry momentum through this corner well here.
Yeah, so climbing up the hill once again. Lou Wall leading, Murray Shepherd 2nd, Tom Gadd 3rd, Carl Rusinars 4th, David Mason 5th. It's Andrew Tate in 6th place in the number 42 car then, as we've got Murray Shepherd there and Tom Gadd briefly side by side into Druids, now heading along that straight under the Warwick Bridge towards Lodge Corner. This to complete lap number 3. We will probably get another 2 laps at the end of this one, I would think, as they turn their way through Lodge Corner, and they are pretty much in single file there. A little bit of curb being used, but not an awful lot by our race leaders, who are up and over the line to complete lap number 3. It's Louis Wall, number 44, that leads this time.
But he's being attacked by Murray Shepherd, who's up the inside, and Shepherd takes the lead into Oulton, but he runs a bit wide, so Louis Wall can fight back and he's going to bring the rest with him, I reckon. So that a challenge from Shepherd. Is he going to actually lose place? There's a car off there. That's Danny Andrew. He's had a spin on the exit of Lodge Corner. He'll get back on, though, in the Team Sellers racing car. What's happening out front, though? Let's pick that up there side by side. It's Louis Wall ahead of Murray Shepherd. Slow off the corner behind them with Tom Gadd, so he's got cars coming from either side of him. That's David Mason looking to the inside, to the outside, Cole Roussenards. As they get to the Island Bend, it's still side by side for the lead. Shepherd ahead of Wall this time. I think Tom Gadd has held on to third, but up to fourth comes David Mason. He moves into the top five. They now turn their way through the Shelled hairpin. Mason's being re-challenged, though. He's challenging Cole Roussenards side by side up towards the British chicane. That's holding them up and letting the top three get away. It's a tricky place to go side by side, and sort of neither of them wanted to give way. Eventually Roussenards had to. David Mason up the inside for fourth, but he's sideways on the exit of the corner there, so Roussenards can fight back as they come over hilltop and down towards the Hislop chicane. It's certainly free now for the lead in with this fight going on behind.
Yeah, and Martin West has managed to latch himself onto the back of the group, or what is now really the fourth place group, hasn't he? So it's 3 for the lead, 5 for fourth position at the moment. It is leading the way then, Murray Shepherd as they climb the hill, but it's David Mason heading this particular group as they turn their way through the right-hander at Lodge Corner. Now they're turning, at Druids Corner now heading along the straight towards Lodge Corner. It is still Murray Shepherd that is leading the way, but Louis Wall alongside him here as they head along the straight. Can Louis Wall go around the outside into Lodge? Murray Shepherd a little bit unsettled under braking there, I thought, but no, they follow one another through and up through Deer Leap. They will get the last lap board this time, Josh.
Absolutely, so this is sort of a recce for what might happen next time round. And across the line, just 200ths of a second in the favour of Murray Shepherd, but Louis Wall up the inside. Tom Gadd looks to the outside of both of them, but Louis Wall has got there, but the better run through the corner should come from Tom Gadd. He sort of took the race in line through Old Hall. There's a few stuff going on behind. Roussenards ahead of that second group. Murray Shepherd back up the inside into Cascade to get the lead back away from Louis Wall, and going off the last lap in, perhaps it is more important to be ahead out of Lodge Corner, but only just, as 200ths of a second it was between those two.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you can conclude too much from that. Louis Wall looked like he was going to get into the lead, and following through there, Tom Gadd. So Murray Shepherd down to third place then as they headed through Island Bend. The sweeping left-hander that time, towards the right-hander they go at Shell Oils. Gadd's gone very wide there, so he's gone back down to third position. Louis Wall's gone back into the lead. Gadd gets a better exit out of the corner, gets the cut back on Murray Shepherd, and is he going to hold on to second place there as they go into the left-hand element of the chicane? That's going to be Murray Shepherd that gets it for the moment.
But Louis Wall, has he escaped in all of that? He's certainly got a much bigger lead than we have seen throughout the course of this race, so quite possibly looking good for Wall, but battling very hard behind. Murray Shepherd feeling the need to defend down towards the Hislop chicane. Sort of places his car back across the road. A big lock up there, and that's from Roussenards. He's gone into the back of Tom Gadd. I don't think Gadd was affected too much. Roussenards was. He's across the grass. Big sideways moment here at the back of that queue, back behind Martin West, who had the off earlier.
Yeah, so he will be back to 7th, Roussenards to 8th, and that's a long way gap back to Greg Smith, who's 9th. It's about another 5 seconds back to the next group, with Craig Land rounding out the top 10. So we're waiting for the cars to come through on the final lap. It's Murray Shepherd. Oh, now there's one going slowly. I thought that's a back marker, I think, that's just being lapped, the number 10 car. But we'll pick up on the leaders as they head down towards Lodge Corner. It's side by side there between the two of them. It's just Murray Shepherd that's got his way back in front as they come into Lodge Corner. Now, can he keep it on the run to the line? Shepherd, Wall, and Gadd. Oh, he's all over the grass. It's Murray Shepherd. He's lost it. He's lost both places there. So it's going to be Louis Wall, 2.5 years after his first win, that's just about going to hang on, or is he? Yes, by 8/100ths of a second. He does it from Tom Gadd. Murray Shepherd took third. David Mason took fourth. Jeff Peake was fifth. Andrew Tate 6th, Carl Roystonard 7th, Greg Smith 8th, Craig Land 9th, Martin West dropping back to 10th place in the end, and we've got one in the gravel there as well, that being the number 38 car of Russ Atwood. So a mistake there, Josh, from Murray Shepherd at the final corner.
He did well originally, didn't he, to catch Louis Wall. It made that gap the first half of the lap. Caught him, went round the outside, just went a little bit too wide though. When he was out over the curbs, it dragged him across onto the grass. He lost traction, was sideways, and that allowed both Wall and Gadd to go through. but an entertaining low-cost race, wasn't it? So many place changes. So certainly around Oulton Park, we found out Locost can overtake as easily as anywhere else.
Yeah, I guess that's good news for Louis Wall in the championship. He makes a little bit of ground on Tom Gadd, but not really, probably as much as he would need to. We'll try and keep an update on the points as the day goes on, but he has at least closed the gap. Not such good news for Martin West, though, because he's back there in 10th place, and he'd have been another driver hoping to make some headway on Tom Gadd coming into this weekend, Josh.
I guess that will bring some of his, might be a drop score for him, mightn't it? Finishing that far back. It's been a pretty consistent season for Martin West up to that point. We didn't see what happened to him on the last lap. He'd already had the off at Cascades earlier in the race, so it's not been such a good day, or not such a good race there for Martin West, despite him battling right at the front of the field. But only win number 2 of the season for Louis Wall, so he'll be pleased with that. So that sort of back-to-back wins. He won up the first race at Brands Hatch last month, so he'll be pleased to get the second win for him of the season.
Candidate for driving for the race there possibly is Andrew Tate, 6th place in the number 42 car, and just as I talk about him, no, that's David Mason in the 43 car, but the 42 car of Andrew Tate, that was up in 6th position, which certainly I think looks to be one of his best results. Yeah, it is by a long way actually his best result. I think he's had a 9th place before as his best finish coming into this weekend by the looks of the point standing, so he'll be pleased to have broken into the top 6, I'm sure.
Yes, and he's down in 15th in the championship, isn't he? So that really shows so that's more his average position to be in, to be up in that lead pack as well, not just in the top 6, but in the lead pack. Just behind Jeff Peake, who gets better every time out, doesn't he? Yeah,
he's been regular in contention for the leading positions over the last few meetings, which hasn't always been the case. He has got further and further up the grid as he's gone in his low-cost career, which is what it's all about, is learning the cars and learning the circuits and getting up to pace. So the drivers coming around on their slow down lap. Josh, you can see that they'll be pulling to park for a minute, so hopefully very shortly we'll be able to hear from our winners, but what were you going to say?
Because they were battling so hard, we actually didn't beat Alex von Erheim's lap record, so they were a couple of seconds off the pace of qualifying. That is just because they were battling consistently every lap. Nobody, I think, led the consistent laps one to the next, did they? If they did, they lost it halfway through and got it back again.
No, I mean, a lot of the laps were sort of off the ultimate pace, weren't they? As they were dicing with each other. It's not conducive to getting a good individual lap time. Best lap went to, looking down the screen, it was Tom Gadd, I think, wasn't it? 2:06.84.
So he brings one of those points back again, which you were speaking about earlier.
So really, it's only 2-point differential between Wall, who gets 25 from that, and Thomas Gadd, who'll have 23. Murray Shepherd, for his 3rd place, will pick up 20 points. So they are into Parc Fermé. We will hopefully get the drivers collected out of Parc Fermé and brought to the podium. Jacob Harris is our man on duty down there today, so good to have Jacob back with us here at Oulton Park this weekend. As they're slowing down lap, you can still see the cars coming in. It's so many cars that we have here in the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Low-Cost Championship. It's tremendous to see, and really good racing, as you saw. So I think we've got Jacob shortly to go down to the pit lane. So Jacob, let's go down to you, and you are going to speak to our race winner, Louis Wall.
Thanks, guys. We're down here in the pit lane with 3rd place man Murray Shepherd. Murray, tell us about your race.
It was a really, really good race. I mean, it took a while to get going. I think the endurance guys took a bit longer in quali, so we're sitting there for quite a while. And then red flag on the first lap, I was leading, and obviously lost that going into the restart, so started 2nd again. And then had a really good fight the whole way with Louis, and Tom was right there as well. And all came down to the last lap, and last corner, unfortunately, overcooked it slightly on the exit. There's a bit of a crest that goes over, and you lose front grip, and I just powered it too much, put a few wheels on the grass, and then Louis and Tom went past. So a bit of a shame, but really good fun.
So only a slight mistake, and of course you got another race coming up this afternoon. Can you go 1 or 2 steps higher?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll give it a go, and that's for sure. Cool.
Congratulations, Murray. Thanks for talking to us. Next up, who have we got? We have Tom Gadd, our championship leader. Tom, 1 step off the top.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was hard at the start. I mean, I've not exactly got the best straight line speed, so we've been struggling down the straights, but we seem to make up for it in the corners. So it's been, but it was a good race. A bit messy at the first restart, but yeah, it was all right in the end.
We've seen a bit of that in the other classes where cornering speed tends to outweigh straight line speed. Would you say that's the case in the low costs?
It depends what circuit you're at. Here, there's a lot of tight corners. Cornering speed has its advantages, but then you've got two quite long straights. So I think having straight line speed benefits a bit more than cornering speed at most circuits in low cost. But here, it's sort of a bit of a balance.
So you're the championship leader and you're one step off the top here. Murray's quite confident for this afternoon's race. How are you feeling about it?
We'll see how we go. I'm quite happy to finish second again. It's all good points. There's got to limit the gap to Louis. That's all really got to focus on, I think. So yeah, hopefully we can go one step further. It'll be nice, but I'm happy with second.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard a racing driver say I'm quite happy finishing second. But thanks for talking to us, Tom, and good luck for this afternoon. Last up, we have our race winner, Louis. Close fight out there.
Yeah, that was a very close race. I think the lead changed position nearly twice a lap. It was very, very close. Then the last lap was pretty dramatic. Quarterback marker through Druids, which meant I had to go through the corner a lot slower. Then Murray caught me down the straight. But, luckily for me, Murray outbraked himself into Deer's Leap, which meant I could get the undercut and back into the lead. So it was very teeth to nail right to the end.
It's obviously a very, very close field overall. And in terms of your championship, how are you looking?
We're very positive. I think we've got the pace in the car. The car's fantastic. The engine's really strong. I think it's still within reach.
Excellent. Thanks for talking to us. Those are your top three from the low cost.